Hi, everybody. Tal Griffin. Uh, I was in a meeting with a student, and the topic of the Sith code came up. And I know in many ways that in the Jedi community, that the Sith, in many ways, are seen as the bad guy. Okay, and that there is there are people that are Sith that are not very good or healthy people. However, this isn't about that. This is about the Sith code. And the meaning behind it is that it talks about gaining victory. It talks about chains. It talks about strength. Okay. And don't ask me to quote it verbatim, but those are the basics of it.
Would
And
you like
that,
me to say the code?
yes, please.
Peace is a lie. There is only passion. Through passion, I gain strength. Through strength, I gain power. Through power, I gain victory. Through victory, my chains are broken. The force shall set me free.
Okay. Now, let's go back to the first line. Peace is a lie. Okay. In one aspect, if one is seeks adversity, yes, peace is a lie. And in a reality, we are always in search of that peace. Okay. But if one has never gained it, then how will they know peace? Okay. And I'm not bad mouthing another doctrine over this, but here's where I'm heading with this. Okay. Peace is a lie. And the second line is what?
There is only passion.
There's only passion. Okay. Passion is our driving motive and emotion. But in there, it talks about chains. Okay.
Do you
And
think that
gaining,
peace is a lie and is only passion talks about peace is something that sometimes can seem unattainable, but like our passion for it, we're always reaching for it?
well, in a way, yeah, because passion is what drives us. Passion is that emotion which, when we're in pursuit, when we're striving, when we're working to obtain passion, what we're passionate about, which is change, which is improving ourselves,
It seems
which,
like a lot of this code is about like adversity and because it talks about like the search of peace and how we got a passion for it, and then it talks about
mhm,
through that passion we gain strength, for through that strength we gain power, through that power we gain victory, through victory our chains are broken.
yeah. Now, through victory, our chains are broken. Okay. Let's start at the bottom line. There is a journey that we go on when we're looking for truth. Okay. How is one weak? What makes them weak? Okay. What makes a person weak is the inability or the unwillingness to face those things within us that hold us back, our past, things that keep us where we are, behaviors, thoughts, actions. Okay. Those are our chains. Those things that we blame, those things in our past, our experiences, which we hold on to because it's what we know. It's comfortable. We always return to what we know. Okay. To break a chain, you have to address, and it's metaphorical, breaking the chain. It's metaphorical. All right. Those chains are, which are those things that we make excuses to not do or excuses to hold on. Like, say, for example, one who continually gets in bad relationships. Okay. Why do you keep getting in bad relationships? Is it because you think you can save this person and change them? Or is it something of your own past that is familiar? Your upbringing, for example, highly dysfunctional. Okay. Conflict, you know, dysfunction, arguing. Say maybe your home was violent. Maybe your environment you grew up in, your neighborhood was violent. Oh, I need to put a trigger warning in here. And disclaimer with this before I continue is that things that this may address might stir things up in you. And that's not my intent here. This is merely a tool to help understanding and to help see things in a different light. It's not to it's not meant to trigger anybody off. And of course, what I say here has no bearing on how one feels or how one is triggered. These are just merely my words and my interpretation and my thoughts. So, and this also in acknowledgement that we do not acknowledge religious beliefs, ethical, sexual orientations, or any of those things that might, or religious or political views. We do not endorse nor acknowledge those. You are as a person. So, and anything that might cover that or that might cover. So, anyway, back to what I was saying, that there are things that we have been exposed to, experienced, lived, that have affected and stayed in our memory, physically and mentally and emotionally. And that do affect us later in life, whether we want to admit it or not. Okay. That causes one to be at unrest. That causes one to not know peace, contentment. Okay. So that's why peace is a lie. Because you are in a constant fight with yourself. You are in a constant battle about things within yourself to not. And when we do not, we are giving that which overshadows us, that has control and power over us, that power. That's why if one does not, they are allowing, they are giving it permission. It is still in control of you. That has become your master. That has become what dictates what you do, how you respond. Whereas if you are around people that are good for you, but yet you can't stand being around them, that's because what has haunted you in your past is still that chain that will not allow you to let these good people that want better to influence you. It's not to say you get what they have. It's because they can incite something to help you want to improve. Change is never easy, but we must drive ourselves to face that, to gain victory over those things, over those topics that keep us where we are. If we're insecure, why? If we can't speak, why? If we want to speak up and become more outspoken, why are we not? What is it you fear? What is you're afraid you're going to be ridiculed of? What is it that haunts you that doesn't allow it, or you won't allow yourself to do it? So now let's move back up the code. We gain victory over those chains. We gain victory. Okay. When
Do
we
you
gain,
want me to read the actual line?
yeah, go back up,
It,
start from the bottom and go
so
back up.
the force shall set me free was the bottom one.
Okay.
Then
The
the
fourth.
next one up was through victory my chains are broken, which is what
Mhm.
you were just talking about.
Okay. The
The
victory.
one above that one was through power I gain victory.
Okay. So through power. Okay. Through power, I gain victory. It's not to become more powerful over those around us. Okay. That is a falsehood of if I become more powerful in my own mind,
It
I
looks
am,
like this very much is laying out a step by step path towards trying to obtain peace.
yes.
So the first line goes, peace is a lie, there is only passion. We don't have peace in our lives. We're
Hmm.
looking for peace. It becomes our passion. We're trying to look for it. We're seeking it. Next
Yes.
line is through passion, I gain strength. Through passion, I learn what I need to learn to be able to obtain that peace. I'm gaining strength. I'm working on it. Through
Yes.
strength, I gain power. We're getting better at it. Through power,
Yes.
I gain victory. You start to become more victorious over this state of I had no peace and now I'm achieving peace. And
Yeah.
then through victory, my chains are broken. It's going through the discomfort, the aversion,
Hmm.
the adversity, and obtaining peace from going from where we had no peace, than obtaining it.
Yeah. There's this thing I heard from this Navy SEAL is something called counterintuitive, right? Okay. Being counterintuitive is that when something is happening, our first instinct is to run from it, right? And that's the intuition to do that. That's our first instinct, self-preservation, right? To self-protect. And I hope I'm getting this out correctly. But to counterintuitively fight that, we do that within ourselves. Counterintuitively, we want to avoid what we must face within ourselves. Okay? That is where strength and the power comes in, because once we gain victory over those chains, we have then gained strength and power. Okay? People that once held us in a manipulation no longer can do so, or the reduced effect of it. You have gained a defense against it. Okay? And in this thought of this one group of Sith that they are highly combative, they are distorted in their thinking, they are opposed to everything that is Jedi. Okay? And in their defense on this, I don't blame them, because it is the Jedi that have turned many people from the Jedi path to Sith because of false intentions, stating falsehoods, claiming one thing, and that person that's mentoring that other person had their own personal motives, totally of what they're going to do, ignoring the other person's needs, which is to seek knowledge and to shoestring and to lie and manipulate, which, of course, once that person becomes discontent, of course, they're going to build resentment. So, of course, they're going to be hostile. The Jedi were lying to me. So, can you blame somebody for being hostile? But on the other side of that, here's the other side of the coin. That person is maintaining and holding on to that because this person lied to me. That's true. But did that person who sought the knowledge, did they investigate the person? Did they do the work? Did they do the footwork to go, hey, is this a good person? Did they listen? So the fault lays on both people. That is a chain. So if one is influenced and easily influenced, yes, one will turn to the Sith. One will see darkness as a gain in power because it's anger, it's resentment. Both of those are very powerful emotions. Okay. But however, we can look at this in another way. We can look at using that emotion, the passion, the anger, and what drives us, as using that as the energy and passion to strive to face and gain victory. But many people want to avoid this because it's easy to not, which, if one does not, if one does not, they are allowing. And to do is to not allow. And there's a quote that is among the community: do or do not, there is no try. There is a truth in that, is that if we do, we are committing to the change. We are committing to that passion to strive to gain victory over which holds us back.
How much passion is actually in only trying?
Trying is non-committal. Trying leaves room for excuses.
It is not thinking that you will achieve it. And
Yes.
just saying, well, I'll try anyways, but like, I don't think this is going to work out.
Right. What? And it's hard to swallow. I'm making an excuse to quit, to not. Right. We all suffer from that. We all go through it. All right. I myself have faced many things, and still to this day do, of I'm just trying. But that means that you haven't come to a place that you're ready. When one is ready, they will commit. They will do. They have found the strength. And you'll quit making excuses to not. So this of gaining victory over others, that, and it can be looked at in two ways: metaphorically within ourselves, others meaning those things and people, events we remember, things we hold on to, okay, the excuses that keep us where we are, that we get permit to keep us in a normal response of the knee-jerk reaction. Well, why are you accusing me? If someone's just asking a question and bringing up a topic with you out of discussion, are they attacking you? Are they saying anything to accuse you? Or are they just asking a simple question? But yet you respond in a defensive manner. Is that person at fault? No. Well, I'm just tired of people accusing me. Okay, well then, if you're tired of being accused, it's one of two things: is it A, this is a behavior and an action that you have adopted through means of repetitive experiences, or you're not willing to face, or you haven't faced the real problem yet, which is the chain. You haven't gained power. You haven't gained victory over it. People talk about mastering, okay, and being a master, okay. So when you gain victory and you gain strength, and in a way you have mastered, okay, but don't let yourself be fooled, because one can become cocky, one can become arrogant, one can become boastful of this, okay. This is where, in a way, and I'm playing devil's advocate here in this cast today, okay, that people will hold on to resentments and display them outwardly. We call that projecting, okay. And normally what that is somebody is angry and holding on to something and blaming. And so, in that, yes, they're angry at the Jedi, but are they truly angry at the Jedi alone as a whole? Or are they angry at that person that misled them, that lied to them? There's a difference. So, people will feed and cause the person to become disillusioned. Okay, so we wrestle with those things that cause us to not have peace. We wrestle with those things that keep us in that state of mind, in that unrest, harmony, being content with where we are as a person, calm, which in the Jedi code, ignorance yet knowledge. Okay. And I refer to that part of the code greatly. I consider it the foundation. I consider it the mainstay of what makes that code work, and why, in many ways, the Sith code and the Jedi code, whichever one you're choosing to use, are the yin and the yang of it. They are a reflection of each other in their opposite forms. But yet, you cannot have one without the other. So, when we are gaining power, it's not on those around us, it's within ourselves. When we gain power and acknowledge those things that hold us back, we do gain strength, we do gain victory. We become who we imagine. You know, and I'm going to touch on something here, and I'm probably going to get flamed in many ways on this, is that gray Jedi. Okay. And the ability for a gray Jedi to still touch those things because they understand that, yes, there is a darker side of us. We could not ignore it. And we have to let that happen. But we don't do it as a justification. We don't do it to excuse our behavior and our actions. It's on the contrary, where people use it as a justification, as an excuse to be a certain way. Well, if that's what you're doing, then you're not being a great Jedi. You're being one who is assuming you're actually being a Sith. You're being that dark side user. Because, yes, passion is a good thing, but it's not done at someone else's expense. Oh, I'm gaining power over those that would seek to control me, so I'm retaliating. No, you're acting in a dark manner. I want to dominate them. That's insecurity because you're afraid you're going to allow yourself to be where you were. So you're scared. So you refer to a convenient excuse. I want to gain victory. Victory is addressing. Victory is challenging yourself. Adversity happens. Without it, though, we won't grow. We won't change. We have to face adversity. Change and to address are synonymous. It is painful, yes. But the more one becomes accountable and becomes introspective, it becomes less uncomfortable. And then we have the strength and we can victor over. So the Sith code is not the means to justify ill actions or ill thoughts. It's not meant to oppose. It does oppose. It opposes those things that hold us back. It's rebellious. It is rebellious against those things that would do us harm. And yes, there are those that have distorted it and that have become, shall I say, dysfunctional in their own way. And that's not for me to judge. And that people are using it to manipulate. People are using that to excuse. That is weakness. To excuse your actions and blame others is a weakness. You are responsible for what you do. Now, I can thank a person for this, and out of respect for this person's anonymity, I'm going to leave their name out. But for those who know him, I owe him credit on this because it's changed my thinking. And so those lines in the Sith code are the steps, as my cohort here has said, are steps to gaining strength for improvement, to strive, the passion to do so, to face the adversity and what what it will be bringing. Life is full of adversity. Okay, tenacity is also another one. There's this um this what is it? It's in um Sisu.
Sisu.
Yes. What
Yeah, Finnish
that
Stoicism.
okay, Finnish. Okay, the Finnish. Okay. Yes.
Because
And
the winters were very harsh in Finland, and they had to
mhm.
have this attitude where when adversities come, we got to step up to the challenge and we don't back down, kind of a thing.
Right. So I was watching a movie the other night, Sisu. Okay. And one of the actresses, one of the characters, was making a mention. And she said in Finnish, it's very hard to uh, give the definition, but it means never quitting. You refuse.
It
You
means
be,
the tenacity in the face of adversity.
yes, you become what your environment is for never quitting. Doesn't mean you become harsh. It means you drive. You do not quit. And I'll give a bit of. It's a very good movie, and basically this guy was a commando, and he had found a gold vein. He had dug up a gold vein. He was a miner, okay, and he had set war behind him because he lost his family, so he didn't really have that much besides himself, his dog, and his horse, and his mining. But in this, Germans, Nazis, had discovered he had gold. So they stole it from him. So he returned back to many ways of when he was a commando. And basically, the higher ups told the German officer, do not mess with this guy. You will regret it. Well, where he was practicing Sisu was that he had one goal in mind, was to get his gold back and to those that had done him harm. And yes, they lived to regret their own demise. But he never quit, no matter how badly he got hurt, no matter how the adversity was. And how adverse things were. He never quit. He became. He became that which they feared. And I'm not saying become what people fear. I'm saying face what you fear. Face it. Break the chain. Become victorious. Gain power over those things that hold you back. the internal struggle. The internal struggle, if we have it, we will never know peace. Well, you don't, and people will go, well, you don't understand my circumstances. You're right, I don't. The other person won't. They will empathize with you, they will sympathize, and they will show compassion and understand why you're doing it. That still doesn't excuse why you're doing it. Only you know the reason, or you have yet to discover the reason why. It's up to you to change it and face it, deal with it, manage it. So then you become stronger, you gain strength, you become powerful. You have power over those problems, the past, which disallow you to do what you want to do, what you desire to do. Like, for example, okay, and this isn't about me, but it's the best thing I know. All right. And I could probably do this a better way or say it a better way, which I'll admit, is that one of the things I used to have a hard time doing was speaking up. And it was because of some of my upbringing, which would cause me to stifle that. Because I was afraid if I said something, I would catch things in a bad way. But I learned that for me to not have things repeat, to not allow things to continue, and I'm still working on it, is say something that you disagree with. Say something so it won't continue. When you do not allow. When you are taking action. When you commit. When you do not, you are still giving it permission. Now, I'm not saying go on a tangent and make a movement to point fingers at everybody else around you and to blame others for the problems. No, I'm saying address what is your problem, what has held you back, what the problem or problems are. This, as I understand it, is the Sith code. All right. And there are probably going to be those that disagree. That's fine. I don't expect everybody to agree. But after my own journey and my own workings of things and working on things and through things and things that I've had to face within myself, problems, issues, whatnot, it has had its adversity. And some of it has been difficult to face. It's adversity. Situations that you didn't see coming, things you don't actually foresee in many ways. It's because you didn't take the time to look and actually pay attention, or you didn't know what to see, which is where the ignorance comes in. Okay. So learning about what causes it, what caused it for me, for a person to be in a situation which isn't comfortable, which puts them in a bad place and affects others around them, is not always easy to come to realize. I'm not going to go into details, but however, I think it'd be important because with that adversity, you start to learn things, you start to realize and learn things about yourself. So, adversity in many ways is good. Adversity causes us to focus. What is my solution? What is it I must do? What is it I have to do? What am I willing to do and commit to? Not I try. Trying is leaving yourself a way out. If you just can't do it and you have done everything within your power and anything else, then yes, it's time to go. It's just not going to happen. And that's being realistic, which is hard to face. It's hard to see. It's hard to accept. So, gaining power is about lessening the excuses, changing your thinking, realizing the reality. Sisu is about that, if I'm not mistaken. Realizing the reality of the situation and facing it, living through it, going
It
through it.
is an act of courage.
Yes, in spite of fear. That's what courage is, in spite of. And my brilliant student who studies many languages and has a knowledge that is far more expansive than mine, who loves foreign languages, who loves history, who loves to study, man, become more of this library of facts that drive me up a wall. But I've learned things, and she's actually the one that brought up Sisu, which stirred my curiosity. But that movie, Sisu, was just that definition. No matter what, you never quit. No matter what.
Did you watch the movie just because I brought up that word?
Well, I had seen it before, and I'm like, dude, these guys have got a problem, right? When you see a guy throwing a pickaxe, or not throwing it, but jamming a pickaxe end up through the bottom of an airplane, and somebody goes, we have a problem, my interest is cured. My interest, my curiosity is spurred up, right? But then I hear what Sisu is. I'm like, oh, interesting. Then I see this movie. I'm like, this is Sisu. He became. And yes, they said that he was uncontrollable by his superiors. They just sent him out. And this was a guy that would take information down, would take people out in the Russian army. That was during the German-Russian War. Okay. And they sent this guy out. He was a commando. Basically, he was, as they said, immortal because he refused to die no matter what. No matter what wound he sustained, no matter how bad it got, he refused to die. Sisu, he refused to stop and to quit. He became that strength, that courage, that tenacity, persistence, dedication, commitment. And I'm not saying any of this is easy. It's not, by all means. But being kind, being nice, considerate, compassionate, empathetic, those are all great things to practice daily. Those are all great things to practice and do to feel good and to be a good human. All right. But on this, isn't the Jedi path about change? Isn't it about changing who we are, what is inside of us to become something better? Well, if we're going around helping everybody else and doing things that make us feel good, and I'm not discounting it, I'm not even judging it. It's all good things to do, right? Open the door for somebody, help somebody out. They're all good things. Being a friend, that's just common sense stuff. That's being a good person. All right. And again, I might catch flack on this. There may be disagreements. That's fine. That's there's that's great. I'll have that discussion, if need be. And I'm not opposed to it. But it all starts by us facing, why am I not a good person? Why am I always angry? Why do I resist helping others? Could there be something inside you that doesn't allow it? Are you allowed to not let you? Is there something inside you that doesn't let you help? Maybe it's because you didn't get the help you needed when you in at some time of need. So why should I go out and help others? Nobody helped me. Resentment, anger. But yet you want to call yourself a Jedi. Well, I've had been involved with nothing but bad people. That's why I do these things. Wrong answer. You do it because it's familiar. You do it because it's what you know. It's the ignorance that keeps you where you are. It's the ignorance of not accepting and not gaining the knowledge of why you do it. Well, people go, why? Why? Why is a rabbit hole question? It's a circular question. Why, why, why? Well, how come you did this? Why did you do it? When you give an answer, why did you? Okay, it can be a circular thinking. However, if you change it, and I saw this in a post, and I've been hearing it more. is the why can be your motive, which could still get into the circular thinking, but why? What is your why? What is your motive? Or if we want to go deeper, it's still on this topic, why is your passion? What is it about you gained the passion, this emotion that drives you, this desire, this want, this tenacity that has caused you to change and want to change, to become where you want to be, to envision it, to see it, and then to start living it. And I'm not saying walk on people. And I'm sure that in one's change, and I know from experience, firsthand experience, that when one changes, there are going to be those that are going to want to keep you where you were or where you are, because it allows them to control you. It allows them to keep you what's comfortable and in a place that is comfortable for them. This is where also we may gain victory over others. Okay. To not allow them to keep us where it's comfortable for them, because they know you in that way. It's familiar to them and to you as well. But then if you stay there and you're at unrest, isn't peace a lie? Isn't peace foreign to you? Isn't or wouldn't peace be unobtainable in that state? And I'll drive this point a little bit further. Say you've grown up in a violent neighborhood where at least a couple of times a week you're throwing hands, right? Or somebody gets unalived by different means, hole puncher or sharp objects, whatnot, blunt objects, whatnot, or just because, for whatever the circumstances may be. Well, one can grow up and still be that. Or one can say, I don't want to do this anymore. I've hurt too many people needlessly without a just reason. Or there's really no excuse, simply because it was how you grew up. Okay, I can understand if somebody's coming at you. Sure, defend yourself. All right. But it becomes a cycle. It becomes your way of life. But who said you had to stay there? Who said? And anybody can make excuses as to why. Who's to blame? What's to blame? But no one said you had to stay there. No one said you had to stay in that place of unrest. You don't have to have permission. The lack of permission is what you haven't given yourself. We keep ourselves where we are. We are and can be victim of our own thoughts. People want to talk about being a survivor. Okay. A survivor isn't those that still lives in that frame of mind and in that emotional state. You're not a survivor, you're still a victim. A survivor is one that has gone through it, gotten themselves into a place where it no longer dictates their life, their thought, their actions. They can acknowledge it when they are bothered by it and they are feeling it and they do something to calm themselves, to address how they are feeling or what they are experiencing. They manage it, they deal with it, and they don't blame others. What we hold, how we respond, how we project, where we direct it is up to us. Someone can say something to really piss us off, right? But however, who made the choice? We could walk away, but if it is something that has really caused anger to happen, maybe that anger is justified with the right reasons to be justifiably angry. There's a difference between trying to justify why you were angry and the anger being used is justifiable with a just reason. You don't justify it after it's done. You justify it because of the circumstances. It caused one to be angry. Rightfully so. There is a difference. But however, that means that what it is still has control over you. You know, there's an opposition going on right now between two groups of people. And I'm going to use this as an example. And if you understand where I'm coming from, you'll be able to read into it. You'll be able to read between the lines here. And I'm going to not mention what this is about, but I think the description may describe. Okay. There's a movement between this certain group of people who are blaming things on this other group, that they're the problem. Are they really? Or are you just looking for a reason because of your own choices? Because you were lied to, much like how one turns to the Sith by a Jedi or two that misled the person. But yet, that person that misled that person also caused that person to turn away. And the people that are perpetuating it are those that continually feed the lie, support it. So you blame others for all these problems in the world, for all these problems, and paint these other people in a bad light. Is it truly? Or are you just finding an excuse to quit? To not further things, to not perpetuate a good life, but yet you're miserable. And being angry and trying to get rid of, diminish, doesn't change where and who you are or what you've become. No, you're living in the delusion that this is what's responsible. So maybe I digressed a bit. Maybe I got off topic there, but hopefully it also lends to my topic here, lends to my point about the Sith code. All right. So when does one know it's time to not continue? That I can't say, but what I can say is that when your intentions to do one thing are completely self-motivated and that do harm, and you're making excuses and you realize, I would think maybe that might be time to change the path you're heading down, that path of self-destruction, that path of delusion. If what you're doing is still self-destructive, and you ask yourself, why does this keep happening to me? Nothing's done outside to be done to you. You have done this to yourself. We all pay consequences. We all pay the piper one way or another. There are consequences, good and bad. When you say this keeps happening, why does this keep happening? Well, ask yourself, why do you keep repeating what you're doing to cause it to happen? Things just don't happen for no reason. Maybe you're a guy that keeps finding bad females and bad relationships. Why is it that you keep finding these women you hope you might be able to have a productive relationship with, but it ends up just not happening? Why? And if you're a female, you keep running into these bad guys that just keep using you, but you want to blame everything else and not face how come you want to do it. Are you insecure? Same thing with a guy. Are you insecure? Are you not facing what is actually causing you? What are you afraid of not having? And what are you hoping to get by compromising yourself? There's always a reason. It's not an excuse. There's a reason, a solid one, logical, a rational reason. So passion is that drive. Passion is what helps us gain the tenacity, to gain the courage, to gain and find our reason to do. to find the energy, the motivation. That is passion. What keeps you going? What keeps you wanting to search, to drive yourself, your motivation? All of this is not going to happen overnight. It's lifelong, but it gets easier. Things happen as a result that are positive. But if you're using this code as your means of dysfunction and destruction, you haven't looked at the reality of it, which is you. The reality that you're unwilling to change. You're using everything else as an excuse to blame it. You're lacking accountability and responsibility to it. And you are unwilling to see how valuable these other things can become and the privilege that comes with them. Knowledge is also a privilege. When you have it, it becomes valuable. And if somebody brings something up that you are wanting to avoid, and there's a word, and you keep dancing around it to gaslight it because somebody said something to you, yeah, okay. Why are you wanting to avoid it? Does that mean that somebody pointed something out that caused you to have to take responsibility for it? I think so. So, and the person that brought it up and direct your attention to it, good on them. Good on them for maybe you feeling a bit embarrassed when it got brought up. Yeah, there might be a little shaming in there. Good. Maybe you'll remember. And that embarrassment can be your negative consequences to cause positive action. It's called a positive consequence, contrary to belief. But see, I think this is where people have used the Sith code in many ways to stay angry. And they're using the Sith code as their mantra that if I stay angry, and I'm doing harm, that makes me powerful. No, you feel powerful. Anger is a very powerful emotion. And this brings me to the gray aspect of things. And I touched a moment ago on it, but I'm going to touch on it more here. People that have come to a point with themselves in their path, in their training, self discovery with the force, and understanding their emotions, and understanding which emotions are powerful, but yet can be used to be productive. and to be able to temper that in when they need them. To gain this more strength, to gather the strength, but also yet let that side of them that is less productive in a way, but yet have tempered it to become productive, to help face adversity. That darker part of us. And you don't use it to just try to get away with things. You don't use it to justify your actions. You don't do it because you got angry. You use those portions of us, our emotions, to arrest, to stop something, to halt it. It's not for gratification of self. It's to do something that needed to be done. And one has the resolve to do it. One can let themselves go to that place with themselves and not lose focus to what the goal in mind is. If it's to help, then sure. If it's to protect, sure. If it's to draw from, to get something accomplished, sure. To meet a goal, sure. But it's not ever to be used as an excuse. And I want to call people out that are using it as an excuse to justify their actions. Anything that would cause harm to anybody, either in good intent or not, is never excusable. If you are a true gray, you will realize that. You will accept that fact. Shame on you for saying that because you are. Never use it as an excuse. Shame on you. You are no gray. You're an immature wannabe because you haven't taken responsibility for who you are and your own actions. You haven't done the work. Don't dare call yourself a gray. Put it away. So the gray aspects of it is that it's done to get something accomplished for the better of others, never ourselves. But one must be humble and accept this to be able to walk that line of adversity to change. To walk that path to become. So I leave with each of you this thought. What adversity have you held yourself back from facing and having the courage to do it because you doubt yourself? Now, Maybe take what I've said here as inspiration, I hope. Maybe you just get angry enough to do it because you're tired of being tired, of having to relive that on a consistent basis. Or are you going to get up off your lazy butt and start doing something about it? I'm not perfect. I'm here to share my experience. I'm here to share how I see things. And maybe, hopefully, with maybe just a bit of wisdom that I might have gained in my time on this planet, maybe that small amount, hopefully. But I'm going to leave that question with you. Maybe something to think about. So, wish all of you a good day, good evening, and a good morning. May the force guide you, and may you have a better life. Thank you. Cal Griffin out.